Hello, my name is Lana Shalom, and I'm the founder of Monga, Magic of Neurographic Art. And I welcome you to this module of algorithm named Composition and Modeling. This is the algorithm where you will learn how to project and model your own future. And if in the first video, in the first algorithm, we focused on removing inner blocks. In this algorithm, we will focus more on building our future. Future together with neurographic art. And this algorithm will give you such tools as learning which elements you have to add to your picture in order to allow your picture to bring certain aspects to your projection, to your life. And this algorithm will allow you to understand when you should avoid certain shapes and elements and when you should bring them in. I welcome you, and let's start drawing. So let's discuss what we have learned so far during the past algorithm and where are we going now. So during the first algorithm, the removal of inner limitations, we worked on identifying. Sometimes we did identify, sometimes we didn't. But the point is, we would get to our blocks and we would remove them. We would uncover the blocks, we would uncover certain pain associated with or hidden behind the block, and we would uncover them. We would uncover them in a gentle possible way. We would curve them out. There comes the magic of the curving or the magic of the circle, right? Circle is the archetype, the element that brings comfort, nurture. It's an element that brings rounding off. It's creating a wholeness, right? If something is not complete, you create a wholeness. When a person is not complete until it meets the divine. And that's when together they make a wholeness. That's what happened. The soul comes to this world. The soul is a part of the divine, of the bigger, of God. Right? In this world, people refer to it as God, but we can call it the divine also. The divine is everything that created. It's a divine that created everything basically, and your soul is part of the divine that comes to this world. It gets a body, it gets a vessel, and it's an inner light. I actually often compare it to the Sfirot. Sfirot is a vessel with a light. It's a Kabbalistic term, and the Sfirah is a vessel that contains a light, and that's what happens. Your body is a vessel and your soul is a light. So in this world, the soul comes to complete something, to complete a project. It has a corporate project it needs to complete. And what happened is that the soul feels completeness when it meets divine. And that's what happens with circles. Circles is the divine. Circles is the divine element will bring it into our life. And that's why our soul becomes whole, complete, nurtured, and comforted. That's the whole point of the circle. And that's what happened in the first algorithm. So just to let you know, the first algorithm is about finding inner blocks. What are inner blocks? If you remember, we discussed it, right? That a person always lived, there are three elements, we called it the snowman, right? Three circles. The top circle is the future, the bottom circle is the past. The middle circle is the present. The middle circles consist of two important parts of a human world. It's the mind and the emotions. Okay, the mind and the emotions are in the present. However, what happens is it's very hard to stay in the present. So most of the time, the mind takes us to the mind and the emotions either take us to the past, where we dwell in the memories, and we keep thinking and rethinking and analyzing and doing everything that the memory tells us that's based on the previous experience, because the mind thinks the experience is the most important element that should be major, while we often fantasize, and that's when the mind takes us to the future. And in the future, we think about what could happen, what we want to happen, what might happen. We rarely meet in the middle. We rarely bring the present. And that's why it's important to stay in the present. And that's why Neurographica is such an effective practice, that it takes you to the past, uncovers your blocks, then starts adding an element of circle, a wholeness, of comfort, of nurturing, taming the blocks, removing the blocks, uncovering the pain, and comforting the pain. And then we're going straight to the future. Okay? The Neurographica allows you to use the present to combine and bring together to bridge the past and the future by building the present. This is important, okay? With Neurographica, we're building the present, okay? So if during the first, and so just to go back to the whole idea of the mind and the emotions, it's actually the work of the ego. Ego as we know it, right, is a famous term coined by Freud and then brought a lot by Carl Jung, and there is a lot to be said about the ego. Ego, unlike it is portrayed as a negative connotation, as a negative character, ego is actually a protector. Ego is that thorn that stays there to protect the rose. Ego's job in this world is to make sure that we have everything we need to be comfortable, to be painless, to be, well, at least it thinks that we're going to be happy, and to stop worrying. That's what the ego is doing. That's ego's point of view. Okay, now, the way it does things is by bringing memories and telling us every time that, look, maybe you shouldn't start anything new because look what happened last time you started something new. Look at your experience, and that's ego's work. Ego is there to protect us from hurting further, from having a negative experience. As a result, ego brings us to the point where we're so dwelling by our past experience that we're afraid to try something new. And ego thinks it protects us because ego's job here is to protect our sanity, to make sure that our sanity stays intact. Meaning, if it comes in contact with a negative experience, our sanity would be, would not be swayed in a wrong direction, would not be hurt. Then ego makes sure that our emotions, if met with possible future negative experience, would not be hurt. So basically, ego is here to protect us. It's that nanny that makes sure the child is protected and constantly hold the child's hand without teaching the child how to walk on its own. That kind of thing, without, kind of preventing the child from developing further. That's what ego is. Ego is trying to help us. It's not doing anything bad, but we need to learn to grow up and allow the ego to say, thank you for being my nanny. I need to grow up. You need to step away. Okay? So, what happens in the first algorithm, when we add circles, when we add rounding off, we tame the ego. Ego is a dragon that protects the palace with the princess. The dragon is there to protect anything or anyone who wants to harm, or actually in this case, who wants to come, or even in a traditional fairy tale. The dragon harms anybody or anything or anyone who comes to the palace. It doesn't find out whether that prince or somebody else wants to do something good or bad. It's there to protect the princess, good or bad. That's how it works. And that's the work of the ego. So what happens is when we do the throw and start circling and rounding everything off, we are taming the ego. We're making sure that the ego is relaxed. Ego is relieved. Ego knows what's going on. Ego is waiting to relax. And what we're doing here is we are adding the element of comfort and nurturing to the ego and saying, it's okay, don't worry, I'm not hurting the princess. I just need to help her. And that's what's happening with the ego. That's what's happening in the first algorithm. Now, the first algorithm, that's why it's so important to go through the first algorithm, we remove the blocks. No more blocks. Well, more or less, right? The blocks are constantly coming up simply because there are tons of blocks stored in our unconscious, our subconscious, and our conscious, right? Conscious blocks are easily attainable and easily worked on. Subconscious blocks are half attainable. You can easily attain them when you do hypnosis, when you do some kind of other meditation, when you start uncovering your subconscious blocks. There is a whole work with essential oils. I have a whole session on that you can, if you were interested, let me know, where you learn how to using essential oils through the sense of smell, get to uncover your subconscious blocks. And now, there are tons of blocks stored in our unconscious. okay? Just so you know, one conscious thought brings upon itself 1 million unconscious thoughts. Just so you understand the way it works. So one block has 1 million unconscious blocks. When I say unconscious, that means they're not easily attainable. So what happens is once you start removing blocks from your conscious, the blocks from your unconscious move into your conscious, and the blocks from your, the blocks from your subconscious move into your conscious, and the blocks from your unconscious moves into your subconscious. Just so you understand, okay? And they're constantly moving, and you're constantly working on them. That's why it's so important to work on them. Now, once we start working on our removal of the blocks, we start removing the blocks from the conscious, we start working on modeling, and that's where this algorithm comes in. Modeling and composition is where we start to set the future. We remove the blocks, we uncover the pain, we tame the dragon, the ego that's been guarding the pain to keep us, like, from making further mistakes, at least it thinks, and we comfort, we nurture the pain, we give it hope, and we show them that the future is a possibility. And then we start going toward the future, right? With removing of the blocks, we add some elements of the future when we add certain circles. Remember how we make a list. Now, what happens now? Algorithm of modeling and composition, you start modeling your future right away. You don't work on recovering your blocks. That's why the first step is always recovering your blocks. The next step is modeling your future and the algorithm, okay? So that's what happens. In the next algorithm, we start working on building our future. That's why it's called modeling. We are projecting, we are setting our future, and then we start building it. We build it on the paper first. And then you're gonna start noticing how it can start building up in your life. Okay? So let's start drawing, let's get going.